Hello, everyone. Charlotte Adler here at the National Sports Media Association. Today, I'm here with Craig Morgan, 2022 Arizona co-Sportswriter of the Year. Congratulations on this huge accomplishment, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Charlotte. I appreciate it.
Yep. Can you tell us a little bit about what it means to you to win this award?
Um, After the crazy odyssey that I've been through in this volatile industry, it means a lot because I've worked very hard for a very long time with too many outlets to count at this point, from newspapers to digital to everything in between. I've covered the Coyotes for more than 20 years now, but I've covered a lot of other Valley sports as well. I've been on the Cardinals beat, the Suns beat, ASU beat. So I've done just about everything, covered every major championship. So
Wow,
it's been a long road. It means a lot to be honored for this, especially because it's coming from my peers.
for sure. How did you get into journalism, and was this always a passion of yours?
No, actually, I thought I was going into finance. I had a job with Goldman Sachs right out of
Wow.
college, and I had an apartment picked out in New York City. And at the very last minute, I got cold feet and decided it wasn't a life for me. It wasn't something that I was passionate about. So I returned home to Chicago, and I started stringing for a local paper, the Daily Herald in Arlington Heights, just covering high school football. And I knew I loved writing already from college, and of course I had played sports, so I loved that as well. And I thought I might give it a crack, so I applied to journalism schools. Actually, went and got my master's at the University of Wisconsin because I felt I was kind of deficient in some of the skills, and that's how it all started. And right after I graduated from Wisconsin, we came out to Arizona because my wife was getting her PhD at ASU.
Wow, that's a really interesting story. I know you, like you said, you've covered a ton of different sports in Arizona. You cover both the Coyotes and the Arizona State hockey right now, correct?
Yes.
Is there one that you prefer to cover?
No, I like them both for their own, the things that they bring. The NHL obviously is, there are a lot of eyes on the National Hockey League. It's the highest level of the sport. So
Right.
you watch incredibly skilled players. College is a different beast altogether. The atmosphere around college, I just don't find I can match it in pro sports. There's just
Mhm.
a passion with college sports that is unrivaled. And ASU fans really bring it for college hockey. There's one end of the arena at Mullet Arena where the student section is located, and it is raucous every game. So it's a blast to be in that atmosphere. It makes you feel younger.
Yeah. Um, in all your years of working in journalism, is there one interview or story that particularly stands out from the rest?
I was afraid you might ask that. That's so hard to just.
Or a couple. I don't know. Just
Yeah, there's a few. I remember when I was covering the Cardinals and Kurt Warner was still the quarterback, and they used to hold their training camps up in Flagstaff, which is up in the mountains about 2.5 hours north of the valley. And I had a long interview with him, and it was just so insightful. Kurt is one of these guys who always took time to talk to media, but he was also insightful and thorough in his answers. In fact, we used to joke about it. He'd give you three different versions of the same answer because he just kept talking, so you could pick and choose which one fit best with your
oh wow.
story. I wrote that. I wrote that for CBS, and that was really still one of my favorite features to this day. And then one more on a lighthearted note. A few years ago, when I first started working for The Athletic, I wrote a story on what it's like for Canadians and northern Midwestern kids and Northeastern kids to adapt to living in the desert, essentially asking them, okay, what encounters have you had with rattlesnakes, scorpions, javelinas, and the like? And it was so much fun because I got so many incredible anecdotes. Those are two
Wow.
that just jump out to me right away.
That's really cool. Is there someone in the business who helped you get to where you are today? Obviously, you've done a fantastic job on your own, but is there anyone in particular who mentored or guided you?
There are several people, and I'm probably going to forget some people. But in terms of sports in particular, my first sports editor, Dave Lumia, was an incredible help. He actually was the sports editor of both major papers here, as well as Fox Sports Arizona. And then some of the writers like Mark Emmons, Scott Bordeaux, Bob Moran, God rest his soul, no longer with us. Those were some of my major influences when I was coming up, and I still talk to those of them that are with us still today. I still lean on them for advice when I'm working on stories, believe it or not.
How would you describe yourself in maybe one or two words? And is there a certain mindset that helped you get to where you are today?
Well, definitely driven and persistent, and you have to be those things, especially as a beat writer, to develop sources, to chase stories, to pursue the truth. Really,
Right.
those are the things that I learned from those mentors that I just mentioned. But also, I think a side of it that sometimes gets lost with this business is you have to develop relationships. I had some people early on in my journalism career who just painted this relationship between sources and journalists, or journalists and the people we cover, as adversarial. And I don't think that's right. I think the first thing that you have to do first is develop relationships and trust with people, and that's how you're going to get more information. I'm not saying it means,
Right.
oh, you go soft on them, or you write around some of the truth. No, you can't do that as a journalist. But I think if there's a trust that you're going to be fair and honest with them, I think you'll get a lot farther in this industry.
And then last question here. You kind of probably weave that into your last answer, but do you have any advice for young sports writers and those who aspire to get to where you are now?
Well, aside from the things that I just mentioned, that writing is practice. It's really difficult. We have a young writer at PHNX Sports right now, Jesse Friedman, who covers the Diamondbacks. And I joke with him all the time. I tell him it's annoying how much better he is at his age than I was at that age. He's really talented, but writing is practice. There's no way around that. You need to read great writers. You need to practice it. You need to take chances with your writing instead of always falling into the same sort of narratives or approaches to your writing. So just keep writing. I know it's more and more difficult. It's hard to make a living in this industry, and there are a lot of sites that want you to do it for, basically pennies. But the practice of it, if you're really passionate about it, just find ways, find avenues to write as much as you can. And again, read as many writers as you can so you can get ideas and improve the craft.
Awesome. That's really great advice. Thank you. So Craig, thank you so much for your time here today. It was really great chatting with you, and congratulations again on winning this award.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. And thanks for doing this interview. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.